In this interview series from the CQF Institute, we ask leading quants to reflect on their careers, the skills needed for quantitative finance, and to offer their views on the latest industry developments. What do you think are the most important future skills aspiring quants should acquire?
Crucial and very important skill is to be curious and to want to learn and observe the data which is in the world available and to learn from that. So that's called an inductive approach, where you really try to understand the world as it's going on around you. So curious, eager to learn and look at data before you start modeling the data. Another important skill is, besides curiosity, is to be very clean and clear in coding, because being a quant is often a team effort, so you code together. And the cleaner you code and the more concise, the more you contribute to the group and your code can be used by others. Finally, I think something very important skill is to be able to tell stories. So once you have interpreted the data, you've looked at it, you've found a code or model, that you can also make sense of why you're doing it, how you're doing it, and what you're doing. And to make that in a central narrative, I think that's an important skill which can really help you as a quant.
How did you begin your career in quant finance?
I started my career in quant finance when I was in undergrad school. So yeah, career is a big word, but the curiosity started. I read a paper by Robert Hogan, the late professor, about super stocks. And I presented a case study on that, on his work. And I was immediately on fire, intrigued by the fact that you can screen the stock market for stocks with formulas. So by screening and comparing them, it seemed to be very easy to beat the market. And that was in 1998. I did my PhD around asset pricing. So also worked on higher moments. So I looked at downside risk, but also positive skewness, because most finance models are based on normal distributions, mean variance. Whereas I thought maybe these great results, all those trading strategies by Robert Hogan and others, maybe they're not truly alpha, but they're just a compensation for downside risk. So that's where I was in academia. So I stayed there. But at a certain moment, I thought, let's move on, because I wanted to translate all those alphas which you can find on paper. And theoretically, you can observe them with backtest to see whether you could really try to apply that in practice. So then I joined Robeco, which is a Dutch pure play asset manager, around since the 20s of the previous century, so almost 100 years old. And that's where I joined a big quant group, where I could apply all this academic knowledge into real life strategies. And at this moment, we're applying that for our clients all around the world. So that's basically in a nutshell my career. Also, while I'm in practice, I can still do research. So sometimes I still write an academic paper, but mostly white papers for clients. And also I wrote an investment book about quant investing, but then in a very simple way, where I try to address it to a broader audience than quants only. So that's also my mission, to basically bring quant to non-quants, and to make it as easy as possible, but you also need to make it as complex as necessary. So finding that balance, that's sort of my zeal, my career, where I'm aiming for.
If you could go back in time, what advice would you give yourself when you first started your career as a quant?
Yeah, so when I look back, one thing I could tell my younger self is to be a bit less eager and to find more balance in getting results, but also taking care of the process and the people. So sometimes I can be really eager and result oriented. I want to have impact, preferably yesterday or today, but not next year or 10 years. So I can be impatient. So finding, and that's in a way it's good to want that, but to balance that a bit more with also and enjoying the process while you're achieving for those high aims. So that would be an advice I would give myself. Not sure whether this applies to everybody. It's what I would tell everybody is really to strike the right balance and know what to do in which situation. So that's situational self-leadership, and for that you need wisdom. And some people are blessed that already at a young age they are able to find this right balance. So that would be my advice.